Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Turning Cup, a weekly tarot and oracle deck review shared over a cup of tea. This series focuses on the experience of working with the deck, how it handles, how it communicates, and how it fits into an actual reading practice. This goes beyond first impressions. So, this is at Sylvan's Way, our very first Turning Cup. And I can't imagine a more fitting deck to open the series with than the Tarot of Woodland Wardens by Jessica. I think it's Rooks. So pour yourself something warm, settle in, and let's begin. Today, we're exploring the Tarot of Woodland Wardens. This is illustrated and written by Jessica Roux, and it was published in 2025 by Amber Lotus Publishing. So structurally, this is a Rider-Waite-Smith based tarot filtered through an ecological lens, where animals and natural environments embody the archetypes rather than human figures. So if you're a person who doesn't like a lot of faces in your deck, this might be a winner for you. So if you're familiar with Jessica's oracle, the Woodland Wardens, the artwork here, it really feels like it definitely is very recognizable. You know it's her work right when you look at it. The line work, the animal imagery, the woodland tone clearly come from the same visual world of Jessica's. But with that said, I would like to say that the tarot does feel different in practice. If you put the two decks side by side, they aren't the same. So in the oracle, there are cards. The cards themselves are bordered and they're paired with a specific plant association, creating really a structured system of correspondences. Where in the tarot, these elements are intentionally removed. I think she meant to remove the borders and the plant associations. She went straight for Rider-Waite-Smith tarot. So these cards are borderless. There's no plant associations. And I think that really opens the imagery up and shifts the focus more toward tarot archetype itself instead of being about the plants and the animals themselves. It really sticks to Rider-Waite-Smith. So let's take a look at this. So the packaging is a two-part box. So it's like this middle size box. It is not small where it's just the deck with a flip top box. And it's not as large as like those Llewellyn big boxes where it comes with the big guide. It's like an in-between size, but it is kind of a thick guy. And it's a two-part box with thumb holes so you can easily open it up. And then on the back of it, it says, explore the enchanted realm of the Woodland Wardens, where creatures of field, burrow, river, and sky represent the traditional figures of the tarot. In this companion to her oracle deck of the same name, Jessica Roux's richly detailed illustrations accompany thoughtful reflections rooted in folk, wisdom, history, and myth. And, it's funny that it says that on the back because when you put these cards next to each other, they kind of don't look like they go together. Maybe I'll show you that. But I'd have to go find my oracle deck to show you that. But it says it on the box, but you're going to see these images, they don't look like they're meant to go together. So anyway, so this is the box. And when we open it up, we have a beautiful inside. I love this green color on the inside. And then we have the book, the user guide, and then we have the cards themselves. And then it tells you about her. It says, is a Nashville-based freelance illustrator, the author of Oracle Deck and 2 books, and the illustrator of many more, including the New York Times bestselling children's book, The Wheel of the Year, and an illustrated guide to nature's rhythms. Oh, I didn't know that. Jessica loves exploring her own backyard and being surrounded by an abundance of nature. Using subdued colors and rhythmic steps, she renders flora, fauna, and much more in a richly detailed old world style. A seasoned reader of tarot, this is her first original tarot deck. Cool. That's super cool. So little information about her. So these are the cards themselves. We're going to take a look at those in a minute. And let's look at the guide. Because I love me a good guide. And look at how nice and thick this guidebook is. And it looks like we have full-size images, but they're black and white. They're not colored, which is fine for me. And then let's see what we got here. So we have an introduction, how to use the cards and guidebook. We got some spreads in here, and then it jumps into the major arcana, minor arcana with some acknowledges about the author and some note pages. So an introduction, probably written by Jessica herself. The structure, so just it looks like basic structure for tarot in general. Themes and symbols. Oh, I was looking at this and I thought this was really cool that she goes over common themes and symbols that are going to appear in the cards and lets you know what these symbols correspond to, like what these things mean, like ivy, a hardy vine that clings to life, despite harsh conditions. Ivy is a symbol of the infinite as well as attachment. Even after a tree has died, this tenacious vine will remain wrapped around its trunk. When ivy appears, the card often deals with bonds, love, and nourishing. So she goes over a couple of these different themes and symbols that you see throughout the book, which I thought was really cool. And then we have some simple spreads. So we have a daily draw with some ideas of questions to ask yourself for that daily draw. We have a 3-card spread. We have a Wheel of the Year spread, which has all the Sabbats. So the pagan Sabbats here and a significator card. We have the Celtic Cross, which is nice. And then it goes right into the card. So let's see what she shows us with the card. So you get a full card image, but it's black and white. And then we have the name of the card, the meaning of probably a description of the card. So it talks about the raccoon. So why she chose a raccoon. I think I've skipped over the fool. Aha, there he is, the puppy dog. So it talks about why she chose a white dog and Fool's Journey, some information about it. And then she gives you the upright and reverse meanings as well as some journal prompts here in the book. So that's nice. She gives it to you for each one. And I bet you if we jump back, and so 9 of Wands, we get the same information. So 9 of Wands, it gives you the picture. It tells you why she chose a goat and some information about this particular image, the upright and reverse meaning, as well as some journal prompts. So lots of good information. I like kind of seeing why an artist chose the particular animal, especially when it's an animal deck, why they chose that animal to put in the picture. And some decks have like one animal through the entire deck, but this deck has a different animal on each card. And I like to see why she chose that particular animal to put on that particular card. So I think that's pretty cool. Let's see. We got the back. We have about the author, acknowledgments, and then she gives you some note pages. So if you wanted to write in your book and take some notes, you could actually go and do that in this guide. So I think that's a really good guide. So not too much, not too little. So that's the guidebook that comes with it. Next, let's look at the cards. Yay. So these are the backs. Aren't those pretty? They are reversible. So you can reverse if you use reverses. And in the book, I'm like pointing to the book, but in the book, it's got the reversals as well. So she must read with reversals. I don't, but it's always nice to have that information, have the ability to do that because there are a lot of people who do reversals. There is no gilding on the deck. I would kind of be tempted to do like a green matte gilding on this. I think that would look really pretty because you have some green in here. See the green? And then these are the cards themselves. So for the cards, the images themselves, her art style is definitely immediately recognizable with this delicate line work with soft textures and like this muted earthy like palette. I would say these colors, they really lean toward green, like moss greens, some dark browns, like parchment like creams, especially in the title here. She has that for each one of them. And like soft, shadowy grays on these. Now, these animals are definitely anthropomorphic. Anthropomorphized. Eventually I will say that word correctly, but the animals that act like humans, basically. So if that is something that you tend not to enjoy, this deck, it might not be the best fit for you. But with that said, it doesn't feel like these animals are like overly exaggerated or cartoonish to me. They really feel like maybe like more like guardians or observers or participants in the woodland world that Jessica has created. So I'm okay with this. I actually love animal decks. So I'm a big lover of animal decks. So next let's do a flip through of the deck alongside Rider-Waite Smith deck so that you can see them side by side, because when I was looking at this deck, I noticed that like the stances and everything are so similar. Like when we get to the Three of Wands, we'll see that the person that's standing in like the regular Rider-Waite Smith, they're wearing green with a red cloak, and they're the stabs are standing exactly the same way. So for me, this deck is going to be so easy to read with because it follows so closely to the Rider-Waite Smith, and there is not a great deal of variation. There has not been any major changes in many of these cards. I would say it's 97% exactly like a Rider-Waite Smith, just with animals in it instead of like the humans of the original deck. So I want to show them to you by side so you can see how closely the deck follows the traditional tarot structure. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do a big flip through it. I love these cards. I just love these cards. I feel like this deck will appeal to most readers who enjoy nature-based symbolism with a gentle observational approach to tarot. I think this works really well for seasonal or cyclical readings. I think it's going to work really good for journaling and reflective work. I think you could also use it for daily or weekly pulls where you want something grounding and steady. I mean, these animals are so soft and nurturing. I just feel like it would be a great deck for that. Now, this deck, where is my regular tarot sized? Okay, so this is a regular tarot. So this is 70 by 120. But this one, this is the comparison. So this looks like it's 80 by 125. So the deck is slightly larger, plus it is slightly thicker cardstock. So because of that, I feel like it's going to be kind of hard to shuffle. So we're going to see a shuffle. I'm going to try. I don't think I'm going to be able to shuffle this. But I think that also, like, for overhand shuffling, I think this being a larger size, I'm learning that being a thicker sized cardstock and deck, it really makes you slow down. It really makes you have more intentional reading style. So I feel like it's really suited for those, spreads where you really want to take your time. Now, because it's so big, it's going to be hard to put out on a table. It's going to take up a lot of room. So big, huge spreads, it's not going to be good for that. I think this deck is going to be really good for people or readers that prefer, like, what am I trying to say? It's not going to be good for readers who prefer bold, high contrast artwork, like with really fast paced shuffling, the riffle of shuffling, or confrontational type readings, because this is so soft that I don't think that that's the kind of readings that you're going to get from it. Let me try to shuffle this. I don't think I'm going to be able to shuffle this at all. I can barely get my fingers around it. And I think it's going to be, yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to riffle shuffle this deck at all. So it's definitely going to have to be a hand over hand shuffle like this. And when I have situations like, I don't even know, let me see. Can I waterfall? It doesn't really work that well either. So when I have situations like this, when I have bigger cardstock, bigger cards and thicker cardstock, to get the good first shuffle, I find myself doing this thing where I put them out like this, and this is the way I shuffle them. And I do this like in stacks of 3s, in stacks of 5s, then stack of 2, and then hand over hand. And I do a bunch of that because I absolutely hate it when I don't feel like my deck has been shuffled very well. And, especially if I find matching cards that go right in sequence, because that's not supposed to happen if you're shuffled well, right? I mean, if the cards are the cards, but still, like, let's get a good shuffle the first time. So let me do a bunch of shuffling on this, and then we'll do a random chose card and read from the guidebook so we can see how the guidebook reads. But definitely shuffling is going to be a problem for me with this deck, which will also, it might cause problems where I might not reach for this deck. Even though I love this artwork, I might not reach for this deck as often because I find it too hard to shuffle. So let me do this and then I'll come right back. Okay, so I think I got these guys shuffled up. Let's see if we get a random card that pops out. There we go. the Four of Wands. So let's read from the guidebook and see what the Four of Wands says. Four of Wands. It is a time for love and celebration when the Four of Wands appears. The two red-crowned cranes perform their elaborate and elegant mating dance under a garland heavy with ripe apples, a symbol of fertility and intellect. These graceful and magnificent birds mate for life, their bond unbreakable, and their love everlasting. You've accomplished great things through your hard work, and it is so much more joyous to celebrate your achievements with another. But remember, too, to make time to celebrate your companion's successes. Oh, that's nice. That's like a new little twist in there. The upright meaning of this card is give yourself permission to take a break and celebrate what you've accomplished after putting in the effort. Surround yourself with loved ones and look back on all that you have achieved together. You may feel unsupported, or reverse is you may feel unsupported or abandoned during a difficult time in your life. You've worked so hard. The reverse is you may feel unsupported or abandoned during a difficult time in your life. You've worked so hard, but no one seems to recognize your efforts. And then the questions, the journaling prompts of this is, do I take this time to celebrate my accomplishments with loved ones? With whom do I like to celebrate? So those are the questions. So I really like that, just enough, and it really tells you why these cranes and symbols were selected in the actual card itself. So I like that. I like that about the guidebook. Okay, so I shared yesterday the Wheel of Readiness. It's a 3-card spread. It was a post yesterday. And this spread is based on the Wheel of Fortune journal prompt from the guidebook. And that journal prompt is, are you prepared for what life throws your way? And since the Wheel of Fortune is the card for the year 2026, I thought this would be a fitting way to work with the deck. Since these cards are already shuffled, we'll pull the first 3 cards from the top of this deck. But first, I want to find the Wheel of Fortune in here. And hopefully I can find it quickly. There we go. So this is the Wheel of Fortune. That's going to be our significator of this Wheel of Fortune reading, because this is 2026 and so it's the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so we have your foundation. This is the Queen of Pentacles is your foundation. That's pretty good. This is where we're being asked to adapt. And we have the 8 of Arrows. Ooh. Yeah, and then how to move within the wheel. So we have Temperance. Okay, so Temperance steps forward. So let's see what we're looking at here. So are you prepared for what life throws your way based on the Wheel of Fortune? That prompt that was in there. So the Queen of Pentacles suggests that you're standing on something solid, which is really good. There's practical stability here, routines, care, and real world grounding that supports you when things are beginning to shift, even if you don't even recognize them. So this is really good. So things are shifting, but you're standing on some solid ground here with the Queen of Pentacles. So the next one is the 8 of Arrows. So this is actually the 8 of Swords. And this points to mental patterns. I think like more like overthinking, self-doubt, or assumptions. It can make change feel more restrictive than it actually is. So this is where you're being asked to adapt to the wheel that's happening this next year. Preparation isn't about controlling the outcomes, but it's more about loosening the limiting narratives that you might tell yourself with the Eight of Arrows, because you can get out of this. So don't limit yourself to what is going on. Remember, you have a strong foundation, and don't limit yourself when this change is happening over the next year. Okay, so how to move forward within this wheel that's happening this next year? We have Temperance, which is a great card to have for the wheel. It invites balance and steady response. So neither like rushing or resisting. It asks you to stay centered and integrate intuition with practicality as these circumstances changes, you know? So taking all of these together, this reading suggests that you might be more prepared than you realize. The work is now trusting what's already in place and softening maybe your rigid thinking and meeting change with balance as the wheel continues to turn over this next year. So that is how the cards actually read. And I just love it. I think it's beautiful. These are gorgeous, gorgeous cards, and they look so good together. And it's so easy to read them because they are so similar to the regular Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So let me pull these. Okay, the Tarot of the Woodland Wardens. It really feels like a companion deck to me. One that walks beside you rather than standing above you. You know, it's there. It's boots on the ground with you. It's especially suited after going through this reading and reading from the book. I feel like if you love nature-based symbolism, if you prefer gentle, grounded guidance, if you like to work with seasonal or cyclical themes, if you enjoy tarot as a reflective practice, I think that you would really enjoy this deck. So that's what I think. If you're looking for like bold, confrontational, high contrast tarot, this isn't going to be the right fit. But if you want something that is present, if you love observation and slow wisdom, this deck I think has a lot to offer. Thank you so much for sharing this first turning cup with me. And until next time, may your cup stay warm, may your path stay steady, and your cards speak with quiet truth. Thanks. Bye.